All right, back out here today. It's a little chilly this morning. I'd rested the top cowling on here, and you can see my little line here. That's when I rested the top cowling on here. That's how much overhang I had, and then it got less and less as I come up here. This is parallel with my back plate here. The top cowling rests back quite a bit. It's high and it rests back quite a bit. So I think I'm gonna have to reverse this line and I'm gonna cut the other cowling with the reverse of this line here, because I need the top part to drop down, and when the top part drops down, this part's gonna come up. So I don't wanna cut this line right now. It'll be less than what this line is showing, how much to cut off. So I'm gonna do some cutting, and we'll see if I get close. I hope I get close. I'm not very good at these angles and stuff, but we're gonna see if it works. I just put a random piece of tape on here, kind of tapered down. It's like 15 millimeters or so. Off of here, I did that to the other side. I drew a line because I want this top part to come down. And we're gonna take this top cowling off, cut it, and kind of see what that does. See where it shifts my line, see if it makes the cowling fit better. I do have some Clecos, 40 size Clecos, 3 of them, just at random in the back, just so this top cowling is locked in place every single time I take it on and off. It's locked in the same position. I went ahead and took the Dremel, trimmed a little bit off. It does fit. It does seem to fit a little bit better. I was able to pull the top cowling forward a little bit more, which closed that gap even more. Now, unfortunately, my rivet holes, or my holes in the back I made to lock everything in place, by moving it forward, I need to make new holes or figure something out. But I'm pretty happy it's squared side to side. And man, I'm thinking about just leaving it like this. I could fill that gap in pretty easily without too much problem. And just lock it in place right here and start working on cutting down the cowling for my hinges. Cut it down. Got tired of analyzing it so much. I was like, you know what, I gotta just commit to a cut. Worst case, I'm getting okay at fiberglass and stuff now, so not great, but I know I can fix it if I had to, instead of buying a new cowling, that's for sure. Most of the time anyway, I think. We're gonna see kind of how we fit. Actually, I may just have to put a hinge on one of these for now, and then kind of go from there. Actually, that might be the next thing to do, and then straighten that out with sand that down so it's nice and straight. Might have cut too much off this side, honestly, up to a certain point anyway, but that's okay. It's okay. Like I said, I can fill that in. That's not a big deal anymore. Well, right now I'm trying to get this side straight. I'd actually cut down into it a little bit too much, so I actually kind of had to rig up another lip on here with some fiberglassing and popsicle sticks. But anyway, got some 80 grit sandpaper. Got me a piece of board here. All right, well, I got my hinge on here. Finally got all this smooth. It took forever, but anyway, I cut down my hinge. They give you an oversized hinge. I put 40 size holes into that side over here. I went ahead and left this one blank so I can probably take the top cowling, bring it down, and kind of guesstimate to randomly drill some holes in this with the top cowling in place. But I need to drill some holes. So we're gonna drill some holes in this one, then we'll work on the other side, then we'll take it to the airport, put it on, and start trimming the top cowling. So let's talk a little bit about what I did at the cowling here. As you know, I leveled the bottom cowling as far as making this guy as straight as I possibly could. I did that to the other side. In fact, I had to build up the other side. You saw in the last clip. And I put the top cowling back on it, and I realized there's some areas I'm gonna have to trim, so I made notch outs right here. I trimmed this back aft part of the top cowling. You can see where it used to be. I trimmed that forward a little bit, so it gives me at least about 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit less, maybe 1/4 inch down here, covering the overlap in the skin here. And a little bit more than that right here, because there's gonna be a piano hinge right here securing the top part of the aft part of the top cowling here. This side's probably gonna require a little trimming, but not bad. The other side, there's quite a bit of overhang. So I'm gonna work on doing the other side next. I do have a piece of tape right here just to see where these things are gonna join, where they're gonna mesh. All right, the cowling again. I went ahead and I got one side done. So I was putting the other hinge on the top part of the cowling on the other side and taped everything together, located it, fit everything clockwise, and everything looks pretty square to me. Everything looked great. Went ahead and drilled my holes for 40s on the top hinge. And let's just say when I released all my tape and everything, the cowling had shifted back aft a little bit. And by doing that, put a huge gap right in here. I'll kind of show that. And I wasn't sure what to do with that. So I decided, after a lot of thinking about what I'm going to do next to remedy that problem, I decided to leave it, because when I shifted everything back to where it needed to be, I pretty much could not get this hinge pin out again on the other side. But when it was like this, when it's a little bit aft, it slides right out. And this was with the original hinge pin. So I came over to this side and I kept trimming a little bit off. I think I trimmed too much off. Long story short, I'm going to add fiberglass to here, just a little bit to here and here. And I'm going to add a little bit back here too. Let me show you how much gap I have in the front. I'm gonna have to add. I'm just gonna put some foam in there, fiberglass over that. That shouldn't weigh very much, not a big deal. All right, everyone. I came back out here and I've been working on the cowling for the last day or 2 days or so. What I had to do is I cut too much off along that line right there. So I added some more back to it. I'm gonna have to cut a little bit more off here, but anyway, and probably add a little bit right there. But anyway, I was able to drill the top part of my hinge. My hinge pin slides in and out. Again, they're tight, but I was able to do it. Also, I had put in some foam on that top part of the cowling and epoxied that in. It's real rough right now. I took off the backing plate. You can see that the gap between here and here, going up and down, is pretty close now. I still got some fine tuning to do, but I'm not going to make it perfect. I'm just going to clean that up right there now, at least the top part of the cowling. If you remember that top part of the cowling, it was setting back like so a little bit. So now I added some foam to it. This side's almost done. I'm going to fill in this huge gap right here. And then this, I thought I had filled it in a little bit better, but it's not. So I'm going to make that look prettier. The other side looks pretty good overall. Again, I fit this side first, and this is nice. The line here, I wish I had that on the other side. I do have a little bit of trimming to do along that edge right there. But other than that, the line here looks really great, actually, I think. Other than when you get to right here, there's a step right here, making you think that this whole thing is shifted, and it probably is, actually, a little bit. It doesn't appear that way, but because I'm coming to this side, it's actually a nice, perfect transition, and it looks really nice on this side. But this side over here, it's stepped off a little bit. So I'm gonna have to put something right here to fill that gap. Anyway, I gotta figure that out without this thing getting too heavy. I gotta get this pin up here going. There's a pin, hinge pin, that sets this top part, this top cowling, from shifting this direction. Oh brother, I tell you, I got this part done. The front, I had to extend out just a little bit on the top part, and this bottom cowling was kind of had a gap right up here. This top part was shifted in, where we had like a 1/4 inch gap on the very top that direction. So I actually had to add a little bit on the top cowling that way, put some foam in here, kind of fiberglass, mud it in. Now it's nice, perfect, smooth circle all the way around. Now, hinge, the pins go in nice on both sides. I need to up drill these still and put rivets in the hinges themselves. But anyway, before I do that, there's one more hinge that goes up here. So just a small hinge, I don't know, they don't really tell you how big, maybe that big. It's going to go on the skin here and get riveted down to the skin, and then I'll probably put a little slit right here in the cowling so the pin can actually go into there and hold the top part down, and that'll make this incredibly rigid at this point. Anyway, that's how I'm going to do this. This hinge will actually go on the bottom side of this skin here. I just pre-drilled some holes in this hinge. Going to put it on the bottom and cleco it in place, and then put the cowling back on and find out how I'm going to drill. All right, what we have here is what I'm showing here is one of the sides of the hinges riveted in place, and the other one I have propped up because the cowling is going to have to come back on here, and I'm going to drill through the cowling and touch that rivet right there, or touch that hinge I mean, so I can put rivets into the cowling. Anyway, in order to know the distance, because that'll be covered up when the cowling's on it, I went ahead and made a reference line over here, and then the distance in millimeters from that reference line to where the middle of that hinge should be, so I can drill down into it and drill some holes through the cowling into the hinge so I can rivet the hinge onto the cowling. Well, I'm drilling into something anyway. It looks like it's holding the cowling down, so let's just keep going, I guess. It should be really close to the middle of that hinge. There we go. Should be. That's the key. We're going to find out when I take the cowling back off to know where I'm at for sure. And this is where we ended up. I know I got a lot of clutter there. Dang near in the center of the hinge. Perfect. Get that cleaned up and deburred, and wow, that's all I can say. I finally got this. I have, as you can see, I have two holes. I started out over here. I could never get the pin in. I've been out here 2 hours on this part alone. I could never push down this cowling enough to get the pin in. It wouldn't even, I don't know which way I could go because you can't see it. You don't know if you need to go in more, you need to go down, up. You have no idea. I ended up taking a little bit of the lugs. I cut them down like 1/16 of an inch just so they mesh in a little easier. Again, I've had this thing on and off 20 times trying to get it to work. Finally got it. What I end up having to do is on the other side of the hinge, I needed the hinge part on the cowling needed to come down, I think, a little bit. So I temporarily put some washers between the fiberglass and the hinge, and then clecoed that on. So the hinge comes down just a little bit. And again, just to see if maybe I need to come down a little bit more. I was able to do it. It doesn't come out super easy. You have to bend it just right. And I was pushing down right here, and that doesn't help. You need to push down back here, is what I found. Okay, I'm concluding my top cowling video. The pins, original pins, not even the smaller size ones. The original pins go in without hardly any trouble at all. Even got this guy to go in. It's a little snug compared to the others, but it actually goes in and out okay. And I can repeat that over and over again. So what I end up doing over here is I put a little plastic spacer offsetting the hinge down that's on the cowling part, and it's not regular plastic. It's kind of a special plastic you can use to heat up and mold into different things. But anyway, it works perfect for a spacer there. And I've trimmed the back part of the aft part of the top cowling that matches the bottom cowling. I still have some odds and end fiberglass work to do, but everything else looks pretty good. Again, I can start up drilling the clecos now to size 21, put rivets in it. Same thing with the top hinge. I am done with the top cowling for now. I'm exhausted working on this.